if I come to you and say, sir, I want to get into tech and I want you to teach me because basically I want to get a lot of money. Do you consider that a driving force for me to want to learn tech?
So the first thing is, yes, there should be a drive. But when it comes to learning tech, there are phases. So the first thing you need to know is that you come to learn tech, you're probably not going to make any money in your first 1 year, maybe 1.5 years, maybe 2 years.
You should pin that.
Yeah, because you need time to learn. You need time to understand how these things work. Even if you have a STEM background, you need time to understand how programming works. And then from there, now start building a portfolio and then grow in your career. To start with, if you're learning, you shouldn't, this is my opinion anyway, you shouldn't be looking for remote work. You should be looking for as much collaboration as possible in those early stages. People who, are okay doing remote are people who have learned, they know how to, do things on their own and, can be solo developers and all that. And even at that, you need to also learn the dynamics of working with a team.
By 2030, over 300 billion jobs is projected to be affected by artificial intelligence. My name is SCN and you're welcome to Tech Talk. And today we're going to be discussing a topic that's on the lips and minds of everyone. Is artificial intelligence creating more job opportunities, or is it gradually replacing us? And with me today in the studio to talk about this is somebody that understands the conversation. We're talking about an artificial intelligence consultant. He's a thought leader. He's a disruptor. He's a digital innovator and more. We're talking about the director of Purple Gate Technologies Limited. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, our guest today on the show, Mr. Dominion Uba. Mr. Dominion Uba, how are you doing?
I'm fine. Thank you for having me.
It feels very exciting to have you today. I just want you to, before we get started, kind of let the audience that are watching us know what you do at Purple Gate Technologies.
All right. Thank you very much for that. So, like you rightly said, my name is Dominion, and most of what we do at Purple Gate Technologies first is help businesses innovate.
Okay.
Basically ensure that businesses are able to get the latest and the best use of technology to drive their businesses forward, increase profitability and all that. So, doing Purple Gate work, I've worked across different industries because, you meet different businesses with different needs, operating in different spaces.
Okay.
And it's been a very informative journey for me because, we started out just building applications and, before you know it, we've gotten to learn a lot about various industries like healthcare, banking and finance, transportation and logistics, supply chain, and other industries. So what I do at Purple Gate Technologies is to basically ensure that everyone on the team has everything they need to do what they need to do to push out these amazing products and provide value to these businesses. So it starts from ensuring that we have the right people on the team, ensuring the vision of the organization remains what it should be, which is reducing manual processes in businesses and helping them innovate. And that's basically what I do at Purple Gate Technologies.
That's very great and insightful. So looking at today's topic, we're discussing artificial intelligence and, looking at our day-to-day. So I'll say my first question basically is, what's your take on artificial intelligence? Would you say it's actually creating jobs or taking jobs in today's reality? And the second phase question is, what jobs do you think are, the fastest to go away this period, looking at, the emergence of artificial intelligence?
Okay, so when people talk about artificial intelligence and jobs, it's always a very interesting conversation because, you see that a lot of people are scared because, they feel, we're not going to be able to do things the way we used to do them before. And you realize that this is not the first time this kind of thing has happened. We've had quite a number of different ages,
True.
different industrialization ages, where, we started with manual labor to machines and all that. So my answer to that question is not that AI is taking away or giving more jobs. I believe what is actually happening is that AI is changing how jobs are done. Because, so far there's civilization, there'll always be work for people to do. But how they do that job is, what changes over time. And what's basically happening now is new way to do things.
So in essence, you would say with the emergence of artificial intelligence, as human beings or as people looking to get better with their jobs, we can actually walk with the times and, learn more on artificial intelligence to better the way we, give out outputs in our job.
Exactly. So for everybody, I think the question shouldn't be, is as AI come to take my job? The question should be,
how do I use AI to be better?
What is the new way? Okay. What is the new way? Or what are the new tools that are available for me to do this job, basically,
Oh, that's great. So my second question, revolves around fintechs, because while I was actually making my research, I noticed that you've actually, worked in some areas in fintech as well. So I know the viewers basically would not know. Can you just run us through a little bit of your background in fintech? Like, how was your background? Like, how did you start before delving into fintech?
Okay, so how I started in fintech was basically Providence, because, when I started as a software engineer, to be honest, I didn't even really know I was going to make money out of it. I was just interested in computers. I was born around computers, so it was just something I naturally gravitated towards. My major was in mechanical engineering, but still found myself, getting into the, computer path. And one of the most incredible things that amazed me was when, the internet came out. There were a lot of ISPs everywhere. I was really curious about how this new technology could connect people, in various places together. And so this was basically how I started. And then I, got into a technology training program, and before you know it, I landed my first internship. And, I was just excited to be in that space. I remember, my first job, and I was asked what my salary was going to be. And, I was told that, to be honest, I just want to work and get the experience. And
sure.
I was given, a reasonable salary at that time. I was excited I was even going to be paid, So this was before, the whole tech bro buzzword where, people,
they decline nowadays.
Exactly. So, from my internship, the next set of opportunities were in fintechs.
Okay.
And I believe the major reason for that at that time was because fintechs were most of the organizations that were getting a lot of funding and, cash flow at that point in time. So that was basically where, I found myself. And, since I started with fintech, I was building that experience. And, the more experience you have in a thing, the easier it is for you to build a career in that thing. And that was how I just kept on working in the fintech space. So I started at InterSwitch, learned a lot, about that, learned a lot about, how different parts of, payment works in that organization. And I worked at a few other fintechs to also expose me to other parts of fintech before I started consulting.
Okay. I'm just trying to look back at what you said about, what Purplegate do as a service. So I'm trying to relate this back to what you said here, for people that are listening to us and, might want to, would love to start a career in tech and say, okay, maybe one day I can actually be like, Mr. Dominion Uba. So I'm asking now, is your organization, Purplegate, do they offer any sort of training for people looking to get into tech?
Yes. So, especially owing to the way I started, I started basically with a 4-day program. It was a tech training program, and I was excited. I was asking the most questions there. There were about 8 people that were in that program doing the same course as I was doing. I think up until today, I'm probably the only person still in tech because, I was really interested in it. Didn't just, want to pass our time. Then my school was on strike. So I think the question would be for anyone who wants to get into tech would be to ask yourself why you want to get into tech.
First of all, very important.
So there's so many reasons these days. Like I get a lot of requests from people saying, "Oh, I want to get into tech. I want to get into tech," and I found a way to
to save the ones that
exactly
very important. Now, because sorry to cut you, because a lot of people now would be like, with the whole tech bro syndrome kind of thing. A lot of people want to enter into tech because I just want to make money. I heard there's big money there. So do you consider that as a drive? If I come to you and say, sir, I want to get into tech and I want you to teach me because basically I want to get a lot of money. Do you consider that a driving force for me to want to learn tech?
So the first thing is, yes, there should be a drive. But when it comes to learning tech, there are phases. So the first thing you need to know is that you come to learn tech, you're probably not going to make any money in your first 1 year, maybe 1.5 years, maybe 2 years.
You should pin that.
Yeah, because you need time to learn. You need time to understand how these things work. Even if you have a STEM background, you need time to understand how programming works, and then from there, now start building a portfolio and then grow in your career. So before you now get to the point where you start writing, aptitude tests or, getting hired or get projects, no one is going to just, put something on your laps if they are not certain that you can deliver.
That you can deliver the job.
So that's the first. So it's that 1 year, 6 months that breaks people, So there are two things, two reasons why a lot of people want to go into tech now, because number one, it affords them some sort of freedom of lifestyle. So most tech people boast of working remotely.
Yeah, especially that the flexibility it gives.
Exactly. So everyone is like, I want to work remotely, and then the next place they go to perch on is on tech, So to start with, if you're learning, you shouldn't, this is my opinion anyway, you shouldn't be looking for remote work. You should be looking for as much collaboration as possible in those early stages. People who, are okay doing remote are people who have learned, they know how to, do things on their own, and, can be solo developers and all that. And even at that, you need to also learn the dynamics of working with a team, with a distributed team. Unless you won't, do the things you're meant to do. And then the second part is, these are the two major things. So even when I started, with all the drive and passion I had, I came across certain issues as an engineer. And, I started asking myself how I got here, So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of challenges down the line.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things I did in early days. I mean, I believe a good number of those things are a testament of who I am, like, burning a lot of midnight candles, staying on my code, for long periods of time till I could figure it out. Because, once you're working, no one wants to know whether you're an intern or not. Just whatever is given to you, do it, get it done and deliver.
Yes.
So these are things I had to go through, in those early days, and had to learn how to manage going forward as an engineer. So these are things that, you need to consider before you say, oh, this is what you want to do. So these are the things that we let the people that come to us to train. So having said that, yes, we do have a foundation that trains people, for free. Currently running one in Enugu State in collaboration with the Enugu State government right now.
Okay.
There's going to be a demo day next week, and the graduates are going to be given their certificates at the ETF Enugu Tech Festival in February. So this program basically is is created to reduce the barrier to entry to people who genuinely want to learn tech.
Okay.
When we were starting the program, there were almost about 300-400 people in the hall. I told all of them that, look, by the time you guys are done with these 3 months, we'll know the people who really came here to learn. Because yes, the numbers are great and all that, but at the end of the day, the trade itself would filter
who
people
is ready
based
to
on determination.
to learn. So just to buttress, or just to add, or a question, because you spoke about the training program that you are in support with the Enugu government as well. So I'm thinking, on this video, we're going to be having a link that could be, let's say that there should be a link where people could actually register. So I think that's very important. You that are listening to me right now, there's definitely going to be a link that's, under this video that you can click and actually register for that. And just before we go on, you, the audience listening to us right there, we back here in the studio would actually want you to do something very little for us. We understand that we need a community to grow, and for us to do that, we can't do that alone. So we're urging on you to please share this video to somebody that you know this could help, as well as subscribe, as well as turn on notification to know when a new video drops. Also, if you'd like to interact with us on our socials, you can actually do that with the handles showing on your screen. Yeah, so to get back to what we're speaking about, my last question on fintech, I just want to know your opinion on what you think is the next big thing, or something that's actually untapped right now in Nigeria and Africa. It might be something that we're looking at, but we're not, let's say, fully, into or strongly devoted to in fintech space, as long as Nigeria and Africa is involved.
Okay, so in terms of the next thing for fintech and finance, there's 2 parts to it. The first part is that a lot of fintech organizations, talking about the legacy ones, which are really large, still use a lot of outdated systems and processes.
Okay.
So kudos to some of these legacy organizations that are really trying to, make new things happen, likes of quite a number of them, so these organizations are, trying to make, new strides when it comes to technology and all that. So they're doing an amazing thing, but there's still a whole lot of other ones that, feel because the old processes are, getting the job done, they should stick to the old processes and all that. And to be honest, they're losing a lot of customers to these new, financial institutions that are, opening bank accounts, at the snap of the finger.
True.
Regardless of whatever compliance, matters CBN throws at them. So we've also worked with a lot of, financial institutions to help digitize their processes as well and make them as fast as, the new banks, the money points, the OPs, you can open bank accounts in 5 minutes. So this is one of the reasons why we also exist as Propagate, to help these legacy organizations. Besides that, due to the advent of, a lot of digitization, there's access to a lot of data. But another problem is that all this data still rests in different silos. There are new organizations like NIBS that have attempted to synchronize, a lot of things together and ensure that, financial institutions are able to, communicate with each other especially when it comes to transaction processing. Yeah. But there still needs to be more integration.
Okay.
So that integration is what I am looking to see in the next, couple of years, especially with the open banking initiative, that is, coming up. And so these are the 2 major things. First one is literally the fact that legacy systems have to improve, unless the new financial institutions would overtake the old ones. And then the second one is that the data that is coming due to digitization would have to be harnessed to further drive profitability and revenue generation.
That's a very serious one. Now, looking back at what you said just align my chain of thought. So you were saying something about looking at improvement and acceptance, as to some of these systems that are still making use of, the old digital system. So this is just outside, let's say outside the core questions that we're asking. So I understand at Purple Gate, how do you tend to tend to meet these people to educate them to try to embrace this new systems or this newer system, letting them know that, what you're doing now, we can actually take you from, point A to point C very quickly that you've been doing before. So what's the process? Is there like a process you have with your team that will say, oh yes, we're going to probably, sensitize people that we know that are actually using this old system? Because back to what you were saying, we were saying, because the problem we have is, if we're trying to do, or if we're trying to innovate, people need to accept, just like we were discussing in Nigeria and Africa. So how do you tend to start first? Like they say, charity begins at home. How do you tend to start first? By letting people know that at Purple Gates, this is what's in for you. And I can actually, explain how you can get from point A to point B, and you should be using the newer system and not the old system.
Yeah, so this is a very wonderful question. So one of the major ways we do that is by engaging the necessary stakeholders in these organizations.
Okay.
So we're also, very, very in tune with the ecosystem. So there's quite a number of, e-business, groups, that, members of these organizations are also a part of as well. So we are part of the events that are being organized in those places. Okay. And that we interact with these people, organize design sprints whereby we just, sort of have some sort of gap analysis to know, okay, this is where they are, this is where technology is, and this is where people that are using this technology have been able to get to. So is this something you guys would want us to implement with you? And so that your business can, get to this point as well. So there's also success. We also agree on success indicators as well, so that people don't just feel like they are building without knowing how what they are building is affecting the business public
like
positively.
Like a form of analytics where you get to see the progress.
Exactly. So that's basically the major way interact with the stakeholders, because a good number of these organizations have people who are custodians of, ICT and the digital transformation in those organizations as well. So those are the people we work with. We work with MDs of organizations as well, and literally first and foremost try to understand the business and understand the processes, that if improved would directly affect the bottom line positively. And then we, initiate the design thinking and development sprints, once we have that information. So it's more or less a needs analysis or gap analysis first before an execution of a plan that, that is being monitored and measured afterwards.
Mm-hmm. That's very explanatory. So coming back to AI now, so I just wanted to know, get your opinion. Now we understand that a lot of industries are being affected. Now you get to see things like a lot of industries, like let's say factories now are being automated. Now you have a lot of people losing jobs in that area, as well as you even go down to the area of content creation. I know I'm a content person. Now you get to see where you could search for jobs and you see people looking for AI content creators, especially AI video editors and stuff. So my question now is, what industry or what industries do you think should be afraid of AI more at this time? We're talking 2026. What industries do you see that are gradually going extinct?
Okay, so I'm going to bring us back to the initial comment I made about when you asked the previous question about whether AI is creating jobs
or taking
away jobs. So maybe it would be nicer to rephrase that question to, okay, what are the industries that need to take care to ensure that they are up to date with the new tools available to them? Because I'm not going to lie to you, every single industry would be affected by with the incoming of AI. and with the improvement of AI.
True.
Every single industry, from even how AI is being created would be affected by AI. Because Sam Altman is asking questions like, okay, how can I make money from asking the AI, that is being built? How can open AI be profitable?
Okay.
So AI is affecting everything. So for content creators, I think what content creators should probably be doing now is more or less finding tools, that can do those things that they would, manually have done, script writing, probably presenting, all those things. These people can use these tools, and because they already understand certain nuances that someone who is not a presenter, for example, like, for example, there are some things as a presenter that I even though I'm an engineer or an AI engineer, I can never know, know that. So they're using those tools. It's not going to be the same as, someone else using the tools.
Sure.
You get. So
Sure.
it's more or less understand the new way things are happening.
Are done.
And then,
moving with the times.
When you release things, there's going to be a difference between, this is, what someone with the skill, with the already, just like, for example, people are saying that, they have applications now that can build apps from start to finish.
Yeah. I think you saw that in 3 minutes, 4 minutes.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, you still need engineers that will do certain things.
So just like we were discussing back, before we got into the studio. So I was telling a colleague of mine that AI definitely needs a form of human connection or human touch to say, oh yes, in as much as you are intelligent to this level, you tend to need a human to say, okay, yes, I'm going to fix in all this in the advent of what would I call ChatGPT, not to promote any brand. You still need humans to actually be the one to type out the prompt, and do stuff. So I understand where you're coming from. So.
Exactly. So I think the question is, what new certificates, what new skills do I need to get still within the line of what I'm doing? At the end of the day, there might be certain industries that might become extinct, but the major ones would literally just evolve.
Evolve with time.
Basically.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's basically.
Yeah, that's right. From the so my next question, sir, is do you think before I bring it down to Nigeria, let me, holistically, Africa as a whole, do you think Africa is ready for AI disruption? And now I'm going to bring it to Nigeria now. And I'm going to give you a little bit of my scenario in the sense that we understand, because I think I was talking to someone one time and the person was seriously telling me about, digitalizing and tokenizing passes for events. So in a case where you don't need, physical papers for events and all that as passes, you just go there with your token and you just, pass. So my question now is looking, in the minute form as, let's say, Nigeria, the way we are now, and understanding that most people might not really be digitally inclined or they don't have that much knowledge. What do you think? Now, the second part question is, what do you think are the challenges surrounding AI disruption in Nigeria, looking at Nigeria and Africa as a whole?
Okay, so this is a very interesting question. So there are a couple of nation-wide AI projects that we have we've done, and when I think back at them, I remember the challenges that we had. One of the challenges was, finding it hard to get data, finding it hard to get clean data, finding it even hard to get data at all. There was one we did that required meteorological data and all that, and we realized that there was no data to use, for the thing that we wanted to do. So we now had to start looking at external, sources, So I think right now there are still a lot of things that we need to do as a nation, one of which is digitization of, a lot of manual processes. There's been quite a lot of effort by the government to do certain things like introducing NINs, introducing BVNs. These things are helping to, sort of put a number on what our population is.
Okay.
Right now, there's still a lot of exclusion. A lot of people still don't have BVNs or NINs.
Sure.
So there's still, some amount of work that still needs to be done there. And that's just one industry. That's just one part. There's still a whole lot of other things that need to be digitized and properly stored and properly tagged. So these are prerequisites to, where before you now start saying, oh, you need to do machine learning or do AI or anything like that on a large scale. These things need to be in place. So my answer to that question is we still have, some way to go. There's still a lot of digitization that still needs to be done in the country.
True.
So will I say we're there yet? In some cases, we're there. In many cases, we are not.
Okay, can you just give a little bit of examples of the little cases you think that were there?
So I would say in the banking sector, for example, there's been a lot of push, especially due to the rise of the fintechs and all, because that's an industry that is directly proportional to the population, to the number of people we have in the country and to our consumer nature as a nation as well. So that's an industry that, has been growing, and due to that has also been innovating because there's been a lot of especially from foreign direct investment and things like that in that industry. But there's still a whole lot of other industries like agriculture, transportation, supply chain, even fast-moving consumer goods. There's still oil and gas. These are industries that have
not yet really
been largely neglected by digitization and digital transformation. So it's a cart before the horse scenario that has to come in those industries first before you start thinking of AI.
Okay, that's very right. So my very basic question, because I know a lot of people will be asking this. Obviously, yes, they probably would know the answer already. Do you think AI is going to widen the gap between the rich and the poor?
Okay. Are you done asking questions?
Yeah. Oh, so my second part question will be, what job or what industry do you think will be very relevant in the next 10 years? So if we're agreeing that AI is going to be very relevant in the next 10 years, I probably would like you to say AI in this industry or in this certain industry, if you tend to look at it, because I feel a lot of people would also want you to, let me know where I might, put my net, or I might, throw my net to get fish. So do you think AI is widening the gap between the rich and the poor? And, what industries, can be very relevant in the next 10 years? So if we pick AI to be very relevant in the next 10 years, what are the industries what industries can we actually apply AI to?
Okay, so does AI widen the gap? I would say no. Actually, AI is set to at least bring a lot of people into the middle class, because it helps you do more with less. Just like technology has always done, helps you reduce manual effort and labor and get more output. So, but now this means that the bar is also going to be raised as well, because initially people were fine, just putting normal questions on ChatGPT to, just generate certain things. But now, people are looking to AI for more and more things.
Yeah.
So is it going to close the gap? yes, a lot of people are going to, that learn these skills,
Yeah.
because again, it's important that for you to fully benefit what, AI has to offer you, you need to learn how to use the tools that are being provided. And, the smarter ones would not just learn the tools, but will also learn how to build the tools as well, because that's also another level. Few people are just scared and not doing anything. Those are the ones that would probably get extinct. The next category of people
That are not the next category of people are not that the ones that are not just users but builders.
Exactly. So, but before then, you have the users, those who use. Those who use would also benefit a lot from it. And then those who build are the ones that are now going to also, be very, very sought after.
Okay, so I think my last question would be, what industries? I think you didn't answer that.
Okay.
So what industry is going to be relevant the next 10 years? And where are we going to apply this industry? That's if we say AI is going to be relevant in the next 10 years.
So I think basically all major industries, so literally your industries, I think the most important thing is the fact that how those industries will operate will be different because of the advent of AI. So I don't believe AI is coming to shut down certain industries. Like, for example, there's always going to be manufacturing. There's always going to be production. There's always going to be, banking. There's always going to be real estate and things like that. The question is, how would these things look like, doing them 5 to 10 years from now? So what is really going to change is how business is being done and how things are being done and how results are being gotten and how monitoring and evaluation happens.
All right. So this is just like a little bit outside what we're discussing. So I know a lot of people would like to, in their careers, that let's say they're in the mid-level point, like let's say, for instance, I say myself, I know what I'm doing, I know my goal, but I probably want to move from point A to, or let's say no, point B to point C in this sense. And I'm just asking, can you give a little bit of insights to people listening to you to say, oh, these are the things that you should look at if you want to be a thought leader like yourself? Because I understand that you're a director of, Purple Gates Technologies. Let's say, for instance, I want to start my company in the next 2 years. What is the advice that you're going to give to someone like me or the viewers listening?
Okay, so I would, what you need to do to be a thought leader
in your space.
Yeah. So, I also listen to people who are ahead of me as well. So, and quoting, some of them, one of the most important things that you need to do is to first and foremost understand a lot about your industry. So, understand a lot about your industry, not just the technological part, but also the part that has to do with operations, actually getting the work done. And then the second part is obviously understand, think of how it can be digitized. That is very, very important to scale profitability and the likes. And then also, have mentors, people who have been there, done that. Those are things I would always advise, people to do. And then clarity. Have some sort of clarity as to what you
want for yourself.
Exactly. So, you should probably have an idea of what it is you would probably be doing in the next 3 to 5 to 10 years, maybe. If 10 years is too far, then at least 3 to 5 years, there should be, some sort of roadmap, to which you're, working towards.
You're very, very correct. Having somebody that you look up to, somebody that can tell you this is the way to go, it's very, very key. So I know this next question actually is something that a lot of people, actually talking about. For me, I would say, firstly, I don't tend to, I tend to see that if you have value to provide, you definitely will be needed. Now, I know a lot of people will be saying, because there's a point in time they said that companies are planning mass layoffs due to the advent of AI. So my question is, do you think that, in Nigeria, as we are now, with the emergence of AI and the new things coming up, most companies are planning mass layoffs. And secondly, what are you going to tell to that next person or somebody that's, let's say, in the industry of maybe the creative or maybe supply chain to say, these are the things that you're supposed to do to be relevant in your space? So let's say it's just like saying, do crisis management. So when the time comes, or even if, or when it comes, you would be, good enough and ready to say, oh, I'm not going to be laid off because I have this value to provide.
Yeah. So one thing I would always say is the people who would be fired are the people who are not productive. And the people who are not productive are the people who have not learned how to use, the tools available to them to be productive. So the people who should probably be scared for that job are people who have not, learned the new things they should learn. So this is why organizations always try to, bring some sort of constant training initiatives, so that, because the knowledge yesterday that brought you to where you are may not be the knowledge that will take you to, to the next point, and probably may not even be the knowledge that would, help you preserve what you've gotten. So I think the most important thing is your willingness to learn, your willingness to adapt, your willingness to understand what the new trends and how to do things. Even as an entrepreneur, I believe one of the most important things is learning how to read your market, read the changes in your market, and learn how to adapt.
Very well said. Very well said.
So even businesses would close. Okay. So it's not just people that will be laid off. Businesses are going to close because the founders don't even understand, how to use the new tools available to them to, drive revenue growth.
Sure. So I'm going to date this back to the last thing that we were speaking about earlier about, putting the cart first before, So I wanted to ask if you see, what's your opinion on if Africa as a whole or Nigeria can be a product or a producer of AI and not just a consumer. So because, the last time we were, discussing, we said something about, a lot of people just basically acting as basic consumers. Like we go on this and we just use it basically. How about we think about, or when do we get to that point? I think the right question is, when do we get to that point to actually absorb and say, oh, we want to be active, producers and not just consumers of AI?
Yeah, so for Nigeria as a nation to join the leaders, the government has to be involved. So there is a limit to what capitalists can do, corporates can do. There is need for a lot of incentivization from the government, and the Honorable Minister for the Honorable Minister for Information, Communication and Digital Economy has done a couple of things in that regard, partnering with the likes of people like MTN to, create data centers, in addition to a lot of, other initiatives, that are coming on in that regard. So what I would say is, those initiatives should be reinforced, and should be monitored as well. Because, I believe a lot of, taxpayers' money has been committed to those things, and, also foreign investment as well, and also investment from, some of these organizations as well. So I believe the most important thing now is the ability to, sort of monitor to ensure that the goals of those things are achieved and they are also accessible to the public. So one of the things that other organizations like India, for example, has done is they've done this thing I've just said. The government, took on the sole responsibility of creating really, really large and massive data centers, and made it available to Indians free of charge, students, and the likes. So these are things that, that would need to be done. Also the creation of more hubs that, people can
tech hubs that people could,
exactly, students
plug
can
into.
exactly, that students can, go collaborate, because, when it comes to technology, the best results are always come from collaboration. Very few people, almost no one has been able to come up with something great alone. So it's the tech hubs are very important. Create as many of them, especially in these institutions, as possible. And and then training, fund more training programs, and just ensure that there's these things are being done, and there's a very high chance that we would begin to lead, because the Nigerians in themselves are very vision driven.
Okay.
I went to we've run our training in different places, and the zeal of the people who are really interested, is really, really encouraging, and always makes us, personally commit to this kind of program. So talking about Nigerians, I believe Nigerians are ready to, take the bull by the horn, but, the organizations like ourselves, and also, the government need to really provide these opportunities.
Very well said, sir. Down to my last question for this show today. Talking about, putting together more tech hubs like we were discussing right now, and, giving people more opportunity. So I would say, would you say it is necessary for the government as a whole now to, look into inculcating AI learning into the curriculum of, schools that we have now? And if you'd agree, yes, at what stage is, are these things best to be taught to students? Should we, because we understand that, we have the basic and we have tertiary, institutions. So what stage do you think it's good enough to start learning AI if inculcated in our curriculum today?
Yeah, so in terms of AI, not just AI, things like programming and the likes, would make sense for these things to be inculcated from primary school. So there's a certain type of programming called Scratch that kids can learn. Just teaches them flows and things like that. So pseudocode and all that. So those are the kind of things that can be integrated, for people as little as 5 to 8 years, to, just gradually keep inculcating in them that, logic-based mindset that's needed for programming.
Sorry, just to add, does your organization, do they teach Scratch to children?
So no, we don't teach Scratch, but it's something that, we have partners that are able to definitely do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So those are the kind of things that we inculcate. So besides that, artificial intelligence is in tertiary institutions, yes. It would be nice. Though a lot of these things still depend on personal learning, but yes, would be very interesting to have people graduate with AI certificates, because these things are already, disciplines outside the country and outside the continent. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, sir. So the last question will be for people trying to go into tech businesses. What courses do you feel is ideal for them to learn? You could actually you could name 1, 2, or 3 basically that people could actually plug into, that are looking to start up tech as businesses.
Okay, so there's 2 categories here. There's the category of people who want to use AI, and there's a category of people who want to build AI.
Okay.
So people who want to use AI, you don't really need STEM. That's science, technology. You don't really need those things. All you need to do is to just have, be willing to learn how these tools can be used in your industry. So this is what the likes of an accountant, for example, can use, a lawyer can use. You don't have to know all the innards of how, the insides of how the technology is working. You just need to know the capability of what that tool can do and what it cannot do. Medicine and the likes, those fields will still exist, you know. But if you want to build, then that is where you now have to start thinking about, you know, things like programming, things like learning, artificial intelligence, machine learning, you know, and things like that.
Yeah. So for the viewers listening, I know a lot of people will be saying, what if I don't have the, you know, the background of tech? Would I be limited? You know, I don't understand, let's say, the basics.
So,
are this going to limit me?
So as a user of AI tools, you don't need any background. You just need to know what you want to achieve and, you know, learn about what tools can help you achieve what you want to achieve. That's all you need, basically. Okay. But for a builder, you would need to pick up certain fundamental things like, you know, some maths, you might need some statistics, you might need some programming knowledge and things like that. Those are things that you need. Maybe learn a programming language like Python or JavaScript, you know, or R, you know, for, you know, analysis of data. So you would need some of those things, and then a couple more things like maybe learning how to, you know, build, you know, agents, you know, artificial intelligence, agents, maybe learn some sort of RAG, you know, methodology and things like that. But that is for if you want to build.
Okay.
You know, so, and I mean, anyone, so far you have the passion to actually build these tools, you can start from any age. You can basically just pick up some of these things and just learn.
Yeah, you heard it there. If you have the passion and you have the drive, not just the fact that you want to be a tech pro and make a lot of money and also just work remotely. You know, just like he said, he started and he never thought about remote work. He was just putting in the work. He was showing up. So if you're showing up, we understand and we believe that you can actually, you know, the sky definitely would be your starting point. So this is where we draw the curtains, unfortunately, on today's show on Tech Talk. And I believe that this has been very insightful. Like I said before, don't forget, we need you as a community to grow. So please help us like, share, comment on this, as well as subscribe to our YouTube channel. So this is where we draw the curtain, and to like come your way next week, it's bye for now.